All right, I'm back today for some bonus show content here, backsportspage.com. Randy Zellea live from the swamps of New Jersey, 20 minutes from MetLife Stadium, where the Giants and that other team in green play. Joining me now, my good friend, a young lady who I've become very good friends with since, I think, 2016. She's on WFAN every weekend, except right now it's on a little bit of sabbatical because of a pandemic. Danielle McCartan. Danielle, it's been a long time, my friend. How you been?
Hello, Randy. How are you? You look good.
Thank you. Thank you. The quarantine has not done me well. A lot of ice cream. A lot of ice cream.
I started with a lot of ice cream, and then actually I've been running 2 miles a day. I've been running.
I've been usually running to Carvel or Haagen-Dazs. That's pretty much been my exercise. Has been running. That's pretty much what it's been for me, and it's okay. I've accepted it a long time ago. It's been good. So catch me up a little bit here. The last time I saw you, I think it was the first XFL game of the season.
Yep.
So that was the last time we saw each other face to face. So we have a little bit of ground to cover here. So let's start there and move back a little bit. And for those who don't know, you've been busting your butt to try and get ahead in this business, and you've pretty much been doing it on the outskirts because a lot of people go to college and want internships and stuff like that. And you sort of went the other route. You sort of went to like the whole career thing, and you went, "This career part is not for me, but I know I got to keep my job and I got to work my way to it." What have been some of the headaches and difficulties that you've had to go with besides working with me? Besides working with me, what has been some of the difficulties that you've come around to have to deal with in your journey so far?
Well, it's not easy, working full time, more than 40 hours a week, and then trying to do this on the side. I would say probably the biggest thing that has suffered has been my social life. I mean, my friends kind of understand it at this point in time. When I have to leave my cousin's wedding, for example, early to go take an hour nap to go to the fan on a Saturday night shift, everybody just kind of to expect stuff like that. But I guess getting started and getting into it, I guess my biggest difficulty was the fact that I didn't have a communications degree from Syracuse University to put on my resume. When I applied for things, they were like, "Oh yeah, okay." But like,
Syracuse and Ramapo, same level.
Right.
Same level.
Right. So when I was applying for things, I guess they kind of just pushed me to the side. But all I needed was to get in front of somebody to show them what I can do, what I know, and how much I know, and how relatable I am. And that occurred a few times. There were some opportunities that weren't exactly right for me at the time. And although I'm grateful for that, the one that really ended up sticking was the meeting I had with Mr. Mark Chernoff. And he promised he would give me a shift, and he delivered. And, too bad I was growing my audience. I was on for a couple months consistently every Saturday night. And then all of a sudden the studio shut down, and it is still shut down. So anybody that's broadcasting for WFAN is actually doing so from their homes, and they have the special equipment to do it that I don't have, obviously. So that's kind of why I'm on the bench, and I'm waiting for my coach to call my number.
Well, it's funny too, because again, I remember you when we first were really getting started back in 2016, and man, like if you think about how far you've come since then, and I'm saying this as your friend, not just as a coworker and seeing what you've been able to accomplish, but one of the things that you've been setting out to do, and you sort of accomplished it this year. You were at every Giant home game, or no, sorry, 9 out of 10 Giant home games, just like me this year.
Yeah,
different sort of responsibilities, but you've been wanting to see what it was like in that press room on game day, and you finally got to see it this year. What was it like for you there?
Everything that I thought it would be. I mean, I loved it. I love it. Going every Sunday did not feel like work or a job at all whatsoever. It was meeting people, and I would go home exhausted. Like, who did I talk to today? And who did I meet today? And who did I impress today? And how well did I work today, which is the most important, and how well did I work for my bosses that put their trust in me to transcribe those things. And I mean, it's just, I can't believe that's like an actual like job. I can't believe people do that for a living. And I don't know. It was awesome, and I'm just thankful for you for the opportunity to be introduced to the PR department at the Giants, and also to who's just sending me messages right now. Actually, Laura Oakman, for I want to say kicking in the door for me. It could have gone one of two ways, which it did.
Do you want to tell the story? You don't have to tell the story, but I'm asking. I'll give you the option.
I went to one of Laura Oakman's boot camps, and it's for women only. So sorry, Randy. Maybe you put a wig on and she wouldn't notice. But it's for women in broadcasting, and it's a boot camp where you learn the techniques on how to do everything, like everything from behind the camera to in front of the camera, and then it culminates in an interview, a one-on-one interview in the Giants auditorium on the stage with a rookie. And along the way, you meet different people. We met Pat Shermer, talked with him in that same auditorium, whatever. So
I'm sorry.
Well, and one of the things was one of the people that we met was Jen Connolly, who happens to be the head of the PR department, basically, of the Giants. And Laura kind of just went out there and she was like, listen, Danielle's been applying for credentials for a long time and she wants to know how she can get in. This is in front of like 30 people and she wants to know how she can get in. How can you help her or something like that? And then Jen was like, oh, I can offer her a game day position if that's something that she'd be interested in. And I was sitting there like, yes. So I gave my email to Jen Connolly and put the faith in her that she would actually reach out. It was an agonizing month, but she did reach out, and that's how it happened. So that conversation could have gone one of two ways. Yes, we're going to offer you a job, or forget about it. Who do you think you are, getting Laura Oakman to force my hand? But it worked out for me anyway.
Well, the part of the story that you left out, which involved me, was you called me up before and you're like, I'm going to talk to Jen and I'm going to find out the answer. And I'm like, no, don't do that.
Yeah,
because it's only going to lead to bad things for you. And I'm glad you did follow my advice on that.
I know. The night before, I was like, you know what? This is my shot. This is my chance. When am I going to see her again to have this opportunity again? So I was going to politely ask her, bring her to the side, not in front of 35 people. But Laura did it for me, so it worked.
Yeah. And the thing is, though, it didn't come from you. So that's a good thing. Like it came from somebody else. Because
Right.
if it would have came from you, compared to coming from Laura, I think it could have gone the other way.
I think so.
it could have been. It was a really nice meeting. It was really nice meeting you. Now here's the door. Okay.
Yeah, I know. I just want to say thanks, Jen Connolly. If you ever come across this interview, thank you very much. The opportunity was amazing, and I hope to, I don't know, be there again. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But it was awesome. It was a great opportunity, and I just want to say thank you.
Jen is awesome, and I've gotten to know her over the years. She made a real tough transition from doing community relations to PR, and two totally different animals compared to working in the community with the guys and helping set that stuff up, compared to working in the PR department and having to manage all of us is not an easy task for anybody. So my hats go off to her and the whole staff over there, Corey and Dion and everybody. And of course Pat. Pat has to follow around. I feel bad for Pat because Pat's had years and years of working with Tom Coughlin, and that's easy. Yeah. That's easy because you don't have to coach Tom Coughlin. Then you had Ben McAdoo, and McAdoo shot himself in the foot.
Yeah.
And then you had Shermer, who lost 9 games in a row, and there's no way you keep your job after losing 9 games in a row.
Yeah.
And now Joe,
his roster wasn't the most talented roster. Let's be honest.
Look, okay, let's do this. All right, I'm fine. Okay, no. We're going there. We're going to go there. Let's do this. Okay. So you look at the games that they lost last year. You look at those games. How many games were they in it and had a chance to win? If they could have, we did it. Me and a couple of the other guys in the press room did it. They could have been 9-7.
Yeah.
And won the division.
Yep.
So there was some bad coaching decisions by Shermer and staff, and also doesn't help when some of your guys are playing zone defense when they're in man defense and vice versa. So that happened a couple times against Dallas, but we're not going to bring that up. We're not going to mention any names. So
I always think about the Cardinals game. That game was a heartbreaker. The home game versus the Cardinals, they were winning until like
the card game was a heartbreaker.
Yeah.
What about the Jet game? The Jet game is another one. The Detroit game, the Chicago game.
Yeah.
You count those games right there. You're 8-8.
I was in Chicago for that game. I was there for that game. Yeah.
Look, they were in the New England game. They were in almost all their games. And
so
Pat, I agree. Yeah.
No, I was just Pat Shermer. I didn't mind him, honestly. I really didn't mind him, and I made that the case to keep him actually on the fan for those reasons that you just outlined and more. But I think this Joe Judge hire, this is a new era of Giants football, I think.
I agree. I agree, and I think it's going to be fun to watch. I like the fact that he's trying to set the culture now.
Yeah, that's what you have to.
And well, yeah, and I just joked around with Patty Triana, who was on with us before from GiantsCountry.com, SI, and one of the things we were joking about was Bill Belichick put Tom Brady on the injury report every single week. Well, Joe Judge put Daniel Jones on the injury report every single week as questionable. That's the question.
That's a good tactic. I mean, that forces the other team to prepare for not one but two quarterbacks. I like it. I think it's a great move.
So Danielle, let's transition a little bit. So what was the major difference? Obviously, there's a major difference here, but you did behind the scenes work with the Giants this past year, and then you also did it for the XFL for the two home games that were there. Mm-hmm. Was the XFL on the right path up until that point? Because now there's talks that they're going to try and buy back and reopen still, but they're not sure what they're going to do. What was your take behind the scenes? Because I know a lot of good people lost their jobs because of all this. What was your thought? What was your thoughts?
I thought the XFL finally had shed itself of that gimmicky from when I was a kid, the he hate me days. I mean, I thought it was I don't want to say the word that the NFL is like stuffy in a way, but I just feel like it was a young league. The fans were all young. They all got into it real fast. And the Guardians were doing all right until, the whole quarterback thing. But I don't know. I do think it was on the right path. I think from the behind the scenes aspect of it, Gina Antoniello, who I love, did an excellent job at, just stepping in and doing a job. She was the third employee for the XFL Guardians, and she took charge of the whole thing. It was well organized. One of my favorite parts about it, different from the NFL, was the fact that all the post-game interviews were live in the coaches club, in the glass of the coaches club, and that the audio from it was streamed throughout the coaches club, so fans could see it. I just think that the XFL brought a whole new level of access to the game that was unseen before this. That included, the mic'd up players, which I think we're going to see a lot more of moving forward, especially if these leagues cannot play without fans, moving forward. The mic'd up was great. I love listening to the coaches chatter. Just the access to the game and the players. And I think the rules, some of them are better than the NFL rules. And I think it was on the right path, and I would love to see it reinvigorated because I don't think it was given enough life to breathe. I just think after, week 3 or 4, it was totally shut down, and that was it. And everybody said, "Oh, XFL sucks." Well, guess what? It was a global pandemic which forced the brand new league, to shut down. Okay, let's just put that into perspective.
No, it's true. And one of the things that I found very interesting was the TV ratings were actually pretty decent. Places like DC and Seattle sold out. You can't really complain about what was going on.
Yeah.
Like everyone said the same thing. The pandemic didn't happen. It would have lasted.
Yeah.
If it didn't happen, it would be a totally different conversation. And I got to watch what was going on behind the scenes, and I enjoyed it. I thought, I was there for that initial game. I didn't go to the second game, but the initial game was good. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was different. My only complaint, I think you and I spoke about this. I'm not sure if we did, but you and I both discussed it. And you're putting a team where you're bringing in how many fans were at that first game? Maybe 11,000 fans, and you're putting them in a 60, 70,000 seat stadium. It's never going to look full.
Yeah.
I thought that's where the Guardians sort of. I think if you would have tried to get Rutgers Stadium and did the games down at Rutgers, much better outcome, much better. It would have looked more full on TV, and it would have looked like an experience that you want to be around. MetLife Stadium was not the place to try and put
Yeah,
them.
yeah, I agree. It was crowded. Those games were crowded and they were loud, but it just never went through that way on TV because the stadium is so cavernous. And even at Jet games, that game looks cavernous, and even at Giant games. I mean, so yeah, I think that was one thing that they could have the league probably could have done better in scouting the sites. I don't know about Rutgers Stadium because I think that it's kind of far from people in I think they went with location over everything for MetLife Stadium. The accessibility from Manhattan, from Connecticut, and all that with the train stations is what I think they were aiming for. But I think I don't know. A lot of those stadiums were a lot smaller, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, some of them were soccer stadiums that they were using elsewhere.
Yeah, you could use Red Bull Stadium. Red Bull Stadium would have been perfect.
Yeah. Yeah, the problem, I went to one U.S. Women's National Team game at Red Bull Stadium, but the parking sucks. There's not enough parking there. So to tailgate for games, it's
I agree with that.
Not ideal.
Well, and the funny thing too was you were sitting there at the first XFL game, and like you said, the access, and even for the media, the access was crazy. You know, we're walking on the field before the game even starts, and we're just like, all right, I'm center field right now. Oh, look, there's a linebacker. Okay, cool. I'm going to get killed. This is one of those things where it's like the access was pretty crazy. Just transitioning around. I know, like you said, you've been out of the studio for a little while with WFAN, and obviously you're not. I don't know. Have you been doing any podcasts at all lately, or would you recommend people going back to certain episodes of your podcast that you would recommend? Because I know you were broadcasting using Ramapo Studio to do some stuff there. Where can people go back and see some of your work if they want to go back? Because we'll talk about some of the great opportunities, and people are going to be a little floored about some of the names that we talked about that you've interviewed, and you're still the unknown. And that's, to me, is the crazy part. But real quick, where can people go back and look at some of yours? Listen to some of your stuff.
Yeah. So while I'm not in the WFAN studios or even the Ramapo College studios, I'm actually set up my own little studio in my bedroom. And I've been, my Power Players podcast, which is a women in sports podcast, I'm updating. It's putting out new episodes 2 times a month. So the most recent one I did was Kara Goucher. She's a 2-time Olympian. And we put it against the background of the Lance documentary. And she was the whistleblower in running against Nike, the Nike Oregon Project. And I've gotten a ton of feedback about that one, of people who aren't runners, who didn't know her story, and who are like, wow. So I've been keeping abreast with that. I've had on Rachel Balkovec, who's the New York Yankees hitting coach. She's got an excellent story. That was an amazing one. She's got a great story. I had Laura Oakman. I had a bunch. So that is still live and running and going. So if you guys are interested in that, and it's not rah women in sports, it's like, the thing I talked about with Kara was, what is the difference between banned and unethical? And I asked her against the backdrop of the home run chase of Sammy Sosa and Mark McGwire. We talked about that. So it's not just about like women in sports, but it's a women's perspective of sports. So if you are interested, you go anywhere you get your podcast, just type in Power Players, Apple, Spotify, it's everywhere. And if you get lost, you just go to the WFAN website, and under podcasts, it's there, Power Players. It's got like a neon sign looking graphic. Pretty cool. My friend made it. So shout outs to Christina Casaro. She did good work. So yeah, so that's that. And
yeah, well, I gotta get your plugs in. Gotta let you do that. So talk about the work that you've had to do, like for some of the autograph signings you've been to get interviews. I know. Remember, you and I went to LT, which remember the guy goes, "You have 2 minutes with LT," which turned into 12 minutes, which was awesome.
I know. I know. And that still is one of my favorite interviews I ever done. That was awesome. He was like, "You got 2 minutes." I was like, "Fine." I was like going through my questions, which are the most important ones, and all of a sudden I sat down with LT. That's what I'm saying. You have to see me and see what I know, and I'm sure I will impress you. And I impressed LT that day, and you were there, and he gave me what 10, 12 minutes. It was awesome.
Yeah.
One of my favorite.
Well, remember what I said to you. You remember what I said to you right after that interview ended? If that would have been just me, I wouldn't even have gotten the interview.
Yeah, well.
I remember saying that to you. I remember saying, yeah, I said like it's just the truth, because I've been to Craig's stuff before, and we went over there like when Dwight Gooden was there, and
You got to give the shout out.
Dwight goes, like, yeah,
tell the name of the store.
Yeah, shout out to Boone Autographs on Route 23 northbound side.
Yeah,
to check it out right on in Pompton Plains. He gets like everybody, and when I talk about like, why don't you get this person? He's like, this person won't draw. I remember one time he's like, I just had Alec Ogletree when he first came to the Giants there. I'm like, cool, how'd it go? He's like, we had 20 people. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
You only had 20. He's like, doesn't matter. We made our money back from it. I'm like, that's such a business mind frame. But what does that do for the guy who's signing the autographs? Only 20 people showed up to come and see him.
I know. So that's why we got to get the word out. One of the first major interviews I ever did was there with him. My friend came. I didn't even have I had my iPhone, and didn't even get my tripod yet. My friend is holding my camera for like 15 minutes. Andy Pettit right here. So we got to give him a shout out. He has helped us both, and he should get more people. So go to Boone Enterprise Autograph on 23.
Which one? You know which one of my favorite moments with that we had was when we did the Tyree event at the bowling alley.
Mm-hmm.
That to me was a real fun one, just because for me, I was just running around like a chicken without a head, and as exhausted as I was by the end of the night.
You were in charge.
I loved it.
Yeah.
I think we got yelled at by the people who were running the foundation. Like, well, we like the fact that you promoted the foundation again, but you ran a sports show while you were here. Well, that's what we do. We're broadcasting live, and David loved it, and everybody else loved it. I don't see what the problem was. Yeah. Hannah came over to us yelling, "Odell is here!" Remember, were you there? No, you left already.
No,
Ryan left.
Yeah, I know. One of the coolest things, though, Randy, probably one of the best things that we did together was our first one that we ever did together at Rutgers. Was the Devin and Jason McCourty casino night. But I had all my questions on an iPad.
Oh God, that was good too.
I had all my questions on the iPad, and Jason was like, "Oh, I've never been interviewed by an iPad before."
and I was busting your chops. I'm like, I think you're putting way too much into this. I think you're, and all of a sudden you're like, no, I don't think.
Yeah, and then you told Devin that I'm a Jets fan. I wanted to kill you.
No, the best part about it was you're like, I have all this stuff organized, and she comes up with the iPad and everything, and Jason comes over to me, and I'm just sitting there talking with him, making it up as I go along, and she's like, you're looking at me going, I hate you. I hate you. I hate you. The problem is, yeah, oh God, yeah. You and I make it up as we go along, and I make it up as I go along, and you're just like so prepared. You have every comeback to every question. If they answer it this way, you're like right there. And I'm sitting there just like, all right, cool. All right, next question, please.
I know. So you tell Devin and I'm a Jet fan, and I'm like, I wanted to, like, if looks could kill, I wanted to kill you. And you remember what he said to me? He goes, we got Tom Brady. And I was like, oh my God. Not anymore.
But you know what, though? The funny part about that was when we, like, the next couple times you saw him, he always remembered you.
Yeah, always. You know what? He just had to,
and like every single time
he had a tragedy. I don't know if you saw. His wife had a miscarriage, and I messaged him on Twitter. Oh. Yeah, and just, I wasn't expecting an answer back, at all. Just thinking of you, praying for you, whatever, and your family. He answered me back. I was shocked.
He's a good dude.
Yeah.
He's a good dude. I don't know if you saw a couple of weeks ago on this forum, broadcasting live. I had Pat with me. Pat came on.
Oh, Pat.
And Pat, yeah, Pat. There was not much seriousness in this conversation with Pat and I. Okay, yeah. Like we had like a 5-minute talk of like business, and then the rest was just like reminiscing about old days and stuff like that. Yeah. But one of the things that Pat had talked about with the Twins is, like, if you remember the football camps that they do that we always went to, and some of the different places that we went to just with the Twins there. Pat, the one thing I can say about you and Danielle, where you guys always showed up for everything. Whether it was the bocce thing with Anthony Fasano, and he appreciates that. He appreciates the fact that we want to give it coverage. Like I told Pat, I think there was one event I showed up to, and I didn't even interview anybody or do anything. I said, I'm just here to show up the show for support, because there's nothing more we can say about showing up to the same event every year except for being there.
Yeah.
And that's the key. And I the New York event, you remember when we were in New York with Wayne for and the Twins were there, and Sanu was there.
Sanu was there. Bowling.
Yeah, at the bowling alley event. He's doing the interview with you, and they bring around the bacon wrap steak, and he grabs the tray in the middle of the interview with you.
Mohamed Sanu is a very unique character. He is just unique. He's a good guy, very good guy. But I was interviewing Devin McCourty about the Super Bowl and how the Falcons beat the Patriots beat the Falcons in the Super Bowl. And I was on that question, and then he went into the background. There's like a little window in the background, and I'm talking to Devin McCourty. And Mohamed Sanu's in the background, like, I'm like, get out of here. I'm trying to do work here.
Well, there was one time, I think, at the Giants this year. Actually, no, it was at the Giants this year, because I was about to say it couldn't be at the XFL. But before every game, you would go onto the field and hold up your pass and or take a picture of you on the field. Didn't you get yelled at for one game this year? Like no, it was like you went. Then the next game, they're like, no one's allowed on the field.
It wasn't just me. I wasn't the only one. It wasn't me. It was everybody. We got to stat. It wasn't. Gina didn't send it. We'll just leave it at that. It wasn't the Guardians, but yeah, because it's some. Like I'm sure it was allowed, but then like you give an inch, and then everybody takes that extra mile, and it wasn't me that ruined it. It was somebody else that ruined it for the rest of us, which is like ridiculous. Like just follow the rules. It makes me mad still.
No. Yeah, well, you know what? The funny thing is, my first year or two covering the Giants, when I was there more than just 1 or 2 home games for the year, I would do the same thing. I go in the field, like I would take a picture of the score. I take my cell phone out and just do the whole.
Yeah.
Take a shot of the scoreboard. Then I do the little selfie. I'd be like, boop, and
well,
I do it, and it would always work out pretty cool. And
yeah, I actually started doing it after the game. I got smarter after the game.
It also helps learning all the guys who are posted at certain places. Yeah. And I'd be like, hey, Jimmy. Oh, yeah, just go on down. Okay. Oh, thanks, Jimmy. We're good. All right. I used to do that at the Meadowlands. So the games that I wasn't covering the Nets and I was just going to watch, I'd buy the $10 tickets all the way upstairs. I go, Jimmy, what section are you in? He goes, I'm down in 104. He just brings me down to an open seat. Trust me, there were plenty of them for the Nets. And he just took me down to an open seat, and we just hung out there for the rest of the day. Yeah. And if Jimmy's watching this, he's never going to allow me into another stadium ever again.
Yeah.
So with that being said, so now I'm going to give you the forum here now for something else. I'm not sure if you really want to do this as a forum, but I'll put you on the spot. But for those who don't know, you also have like another type of career, and this has been different for you. Never done anything like this before. What do you say to parents with kids who are going through everything that they're going through right now? I'm sorry if I'm putting you on the spot. You can just say I'd rather not go there, and I'm fine.
You mean like kids in my class?
Yeah. I don't know if you wanted to go into the whole education sector of it.
Yeah, not totally, because
it's hard. It's hard for everybody.
I don't want to say the wrong thing and have it being taken out of context. How this world works.
Not a problem.
I mean, I would say though that the education, the actual content is not as important as your kid's well-being and as your kid's mental wellness and as your kid's ability to just go outside and play. Like we're back to those days where when the streetlights come on, they come in. So I would say that don't try to force feed them the content. This is not the time to do that. Teachers are professionals, and they will get your kids back on track. If they've fallen off track, they will be back on track, whether that be now, next week, or in September.
Danielle McCartan from WFAN joining us here. She was also a very big supporter of Back Sports Page. Danielle, you're on Saturday nights sewing and the Sunday mornings from like 3 to 6?
2 to
Okay.
6.
I just wanted to make sure because I don't want to tell everyone Saturday.
Yeah, Saturday night into Sunday, 2 a.m. It's hard to say. Like I get to, it's 2 a.m. Saturday night, and then I'm off 6 a.m. on Sundays. Is what it is. So just waiting for my turn to come back.
So the reason why I'm saying this, I don't know if you can see it on the screen when I do this and just say boom. I don't know if you can see that.
No.
It's right there. So, I had to do it. I'm sorry. Look, the simple fact of the matter is, you and I can have these types of conversations, joke around like this, is because you're like my little sister, and you and I have been through wars with not only with each other, but with going back to back to fight some of these battles. And if you had to give advice, just like you did on that panel we had in November, for those who don't know, Danielle came in to a panel, and like she's come to a lot of the panels that I've hosted before, and she came to the one over at FDU, and for the first time she was a member of the panel and not sitting in the audience. So first off, talk about the difference about being on the stage. What was that like for you?
I thought it was awesome. When you said, "Oh, I want you to be a panelist," I was like, "Yes, yes." And then when you were telling me all the other that were going to be on it, Chris Canty and Pat Capra and Gina Antoniello and Janet Dutch, and I was like, Madeline Burke. I was like, wow, and Joe Ruback. I was like, wow, this is going to be a fun time. This is cool. So being in the audience is one thing.
It's an all-star lineup.
I know. Being in the audience is one thing. Like you're listening, you're taking in what everybody's telling you. You can ask a question or two, but I think I don't want this to come off the wrong way, but I think I've experienced enough in this field in a lot of different ways that normally traditional people haven't. So I think that I'm at a point now where, I can give advice where people are asking me to review their tapes or whatever. And I'm happy to do it. I had guys sending me, some dads from the fan listeners, sending me videos of his kid catching and asking me for some tips on how he can help his kid as a catcher. So I'm happy to do it. I mean, I really am. I like giving advice. I like teaching things, obviously. So being on the panel was awesome, and you did a great job. I mean, you bring people together in a way that's, it's hard. Everybody's got different schedules. Everybody's working 100-hour work weeks, and you somehow get everybody to just drop everything and a full audience every single time. And that's, I've learned, and I'm sure you will agree. And if you are good to people, one, they'll remember you, and two, they'll do anything to help you. So I think you have done that over years, and building a relationship and maintaining them, even more importantly, that people will do anything for you. So anything that you do, I'm in.
And this is good because unlike you, the other people's checks did clear, and so it's no. Thank you for that. I do appreciate that, and it's one of the things too. Like I love doing those panels because I remember being 21, 22 years old, thinking that it was going to be all going to work out at the end, and just be able to just, okay, I'm going to graduate, and there's going to be a job waiting for me. And it's not like that. You have to start at their age jumping in it. And if you're not jumping in it at that point, you're going to be 3 steps behind by the time you get out of college. And so my thing was just to raise awareness of knowing that the work is, you start the work now so you can build on it and already have a body of work by the time you get out. So
right.
because people don't want inexperience when they get out of school. They want someone who's been through some trenches already. And it's not
in any field though.
And it's not easy. Yeah. Well, okay. Wow. You just opened up a door for a quick conversation. I know you have to get back to do your thing, but leaving school early to play sports. Okay. I don't know if you and I have had this conversation of it yet. I am very passionate of, look, if you were going to school to become a doctor or an accountant, you don't get to leave school early to go join the firm and get to work.
Yeah.
School is about education. And if you're playing football, if you're playing basketball in college, it's on the job education. Okay. So I've always been a very firm believer that the NBA should raise their age limit to 21, 22 years old, just like the NFL. You have to play 3 years so you get the proper education, and therefore the style of game in the NBA will not look as sloppy and as inexperienced as it does right now. You'll have right now the game is very, very sloppy. It's you're drafting on potential, not what a guy can do for you right now. That's why the last senior taken in the top 5 in the NBA draft that happened in 2006. That's the last time a senior went in the top 5 in the NBA draft. What's your take on it?
Well, we're going to disagree on this because
okay.
you think of the Kobe Bryants, when you think of the LeBron Jameses, when you think of those guys, it's how do you say this? The career is only a certain amount of years. Like you only have a certain window of years where you are an elite professional athlete. Why not capitalize on that when you still have your youth? Why not go out and make the money that you deserve for all the hard work you've put in? Because guess what? School and the institution of school is always going to be there. You can always go back to school. You can go back to school as an 80-year-old and get your degree. These guys don't need a degree. And here I am as an educator saying this, but these guys are set for life when they sign an NBA contract. So you know what? I say go do it. Go make your dollars. And the best training, you said on the job training. Well, guess what? I finished my student teaching. This is student teaching, but I finished my student teaching assignment. It was supposed to go through June or through May. April 1st, I had an actual job. I was teaching. I was a teacher on April 1st, getting paid. And that was the best on-the-job training I had gotten, including my student teaching, including all the pedagogy classes I was taking. It was me being in control of my own domain. And I can liken that to these guys. Their best on-the-job training is being on an NBA court, an NBA practice court, or an NFL practice field. I think that while you still have the youth, you go out, you make the money. And if you need to go back to school, but most of them don't, you go back to school.
The beautiful thing about this is there's no wrong answer.
Right.
Me personally, I'm just one of those people that I just like polish, and I'm one of those people where I just think that the NBA has taken such a hit through time because you just don't have enough guys who understand the game, and it's not fair to the coaches to have to try and educate the kids coming into the league while trying to win a championship and try to save their job. It's not sort of the right.
Every coach, though, every coach at every level, that's the job. Think about at the collegiate level. Every 4 years, they have a brand new. It's just always evolving, ever changing. And unfortunately, what bothers me most is like the coaches that have their system and that's it. Like, no, you have to adapt your system to the players that are around. And if your players don't understand, well, you need to do something else as a teacher in order to get them to understand. That's what I think.
I'm on both sides of it. I just think a professional coach, when there's millions and millions of dollars involved, you go with the horses that are ready to go, and you have so much money being invested in someone. And you said Kobe. I'll leave it on this note. You said Kobe and Garnett and those guys who came in from high school. It took them about 3 years to find their footing in the league before they started averaging 20 a game and become really effective. Otherwise, there were small pieces. And LeBron is a rare cat who can just come right into the league and be a man, be a boy in a man's body and just go right out there and do it. Like he was something else. But how many LeBrons are there and how many Kwame Browns are they?
Yeah. Well, then you think of like guys that are going, and even the WNBA, when they go abroad to play and make some money. I mean, what about Mitchell Robinson? He went and he made his money, and he's doing fine. With the Knicks, he's fine.
Yeah. Well, I think he might be the only fine thing going on with the New York Knicks right now. But with that being said, it's true. I got a little bit of news. I don't know if you want to. I haven't even fully read it, but it looks like this is what's going on with the NBA. Silver wants a 22-team Orlando tournament. Teams to play 8 regular season games. NBA owners expected to okay the plan. Wojnarowski will list the teams that make the cut. Look, I like the idea I think the most interesting team of all of them will be the Nets because Durant and Irving could be back, which could be a lot of fun. I'm excited for sports and I'm excited to see it again. I'm just wondering if not only from a basketball standpoint and a hockey standpoint, for baseball to get their act together, I don't think we're going to see fans in the audience for a very, very long time.
Yeah.
And I also think that it's going to be a little longer. I also think it's going to be a little longer before we have normal media coverage. Again, meaning like without the essential guys who are supposed to be there and good one-on-one interviews, I don't think we're going to be seeing that anytime soon.
You know, I was thinking about that too when I read that article really quickly. You know, they're all going to be in Orlando, so and they're all under like these rules of like, you know, you've seen all the rules, but like, how does that apply to the media? I was thinking that. So can I get on a plane and go to Orlando? No, because in Florida, if you come from New Jersey, the last I checked, you still have to quarantine yourself for 14 days in Florida from New Jersey. So how is this going to work?
It's not. There's a piece of me that feels like maybe they shouldn't. I don't know. I don't know how it's going to work out. It's gonna be weird. Seeing New Jersey, Brooklyn colors. I almost said New Jersey. Brooklyn colors versus Toronto in Orlando.
Yeah, I know, but you know what? Anything to get sports back because that means I get to go back on the fan. So I'm all for it. Yes, yes, yes. Hockey, all of them, just all come back, please.
You're begging for it.
Please.
That's the best part of it. So, I think it should be. I think it should be fun. Danielle, thanks so much for giving me some time today. I know you've been running around a little bit busy, and I thought this was fun.
Yeah, me too. Anytime you need me to come back, I'll be more than happy to.
Excellent. Thanks so much. Danielle McCartan, WFAN. Check her out, WFAN.com. Plug Twitter, plug everything. Go plug. You
can see right there at the bottom. Let me see right there. That's the Twitter at Coach MCCARTAN. If you're on Facebook only, like some of my followers are, Facebook.com/there it is, Coach McCartan. You can find everything there. And it links to everything. It's my whole plethora of things.
Thanks for coming on. I appreciate it. And I get to watch the cool egg video. You got to see the cool entrance video, and I get to see cool exit video.
Yeah.
Thanks again, Danielle. I appreciate it.